everyone, it's Anya here and I'm back with another video for Ophelia Talks. And today we are going to be joining the squares for the Peacock Blanket. So as you know, or as you might have seen from the pictures, we are doing this diagonally and it's not really that hard to do. So we are here laying it out on a sheet, and that's what I like to do, and that is a very good thing to do to get started. And you start with 13 squares in one middle row, and then we laid out rows next to that, each time with less squares. So you go from 13 to then 11, 9, 7, 5, 3 and 1. You are using 85 squares for this. Then it was time to have a look at the color placement and making sure that the adjacent square didn't have the same colors. And then of course it was time for the triangles to be added to the sides of the blanket and finish the look, of course. And of course you're using your 28 triangles for this. And once again we made sure that we didn't have the same colors together. The triangle on the corner you put with the tip outwards, and all the other ones go with the tip inwards. Now is a good time to pin them to the sheet and to maybe have another look at it in the morning. But if you don't have the time, obviously, just make sure you take your distance, step away from it and have a good look at what it could look like and see where you have placed all the different colors. For the assembly, we are going to split it up in a middle part, so that's a square, of 7 by 7 squares. And then 4 corner ones. And so I can explain easily to you how to put the square together, and then I will also show you how to put the corner together and then how to adhere the 4 corners to the square. Okay, so here I have my first 2 rows of squares of the inner square of our blanket, and I am going to start crocheting them together. I've got my petrol here, and we're going to do single crochets of the inner loops. So you take your squares like this with the bad sides together, the good sides on the outside, and you're going to find the chain space here, the corner chain space there, and we're going to do a single crochet. There we go. And so here, of course, we are working in the square. We're just doing all our vertical lines first and then all our horizontal lines. So that's very straightforward and quite easy. So you're just finding the inner loops. So that means you're finding, of course these two are too dark ones to see, but you've got your V's. This is the one that you're using here, and then on the other square you are using the V that's the closest to you, or rather the strand of the V that's the closest to you. So you've got these 2 strands, and then you do your single crochet. And this is how you will continue finding your inner loops all along these squares. Make sure you don't do it too tightly, because of course you are going to have to lay them open like this, and they're going to have to lay flat. So we will have a little ridge here, which I think adds to the look of our blanket. So I'll meet you at the corner so I can show you how to get started on the next 2 squares. So I made it to the end of the row. I'm going to place a single crochet around the chain space here, because we did that to start with as well. Then we are going to do a chain, so this will allow us to do the other direction in a moment. And then here we are going to take the next 2 squares, hold them together like this, and find the chain spaces of the corners, but of course you've got to have your yarn right there so you can keep on crocheting. There we go. Keep it all tight and do your single crochet. And then of course here we are looking for those inner loops again. Sometimes you might have put the ends in and then it's a little bit more difficult to get in there, but just do your best, see what strand you can get a hold of. Oh yes, that is the one. There we go. And then off you go again. Okay, so I've done my first 2 rows of squares here. And then this one here is my next row. And so now you're going to put these 2 together. And of course, we're doing exactly the same thing. Just make sure that these ones here don't get twisted as you're doing it. This will get better, obviously, when you put the other rows on. It won't get twisted so easily. And I am just doing my last stitches of my row here. So I have now finished doing all the joins in one direction, and now it's of course a lot easier to just, you know, turn the blanket around and start doing the joins the other way. Okay, so as you can see, I've done one join already, and oh my goodness, look how lovely it looks. So yes, just to let you know, or just to show you here, the join. So we've been doing a single crochet around the chain space. So we're still doing that one. So here you do your single crochet around the chain space. Then we've been doing a chain in this direction, and of course we're doing a chain in this direction as well. And then you move over to the other chain space there and you do your single crochet. And this now has made the join. So we've got our 2 chains here across from one another and our single crochets into the chain spaces, or rather the corner chain spaces. And then of course we just continue as we were. There we go. And now we need to do 4 of these corners. So these corners are made up of 5 squares and 2 triangles. Then we put 3 squares and 2 triangles, 1 square and 2 triangles, and 1 triangle but upside down. So this is what you're going to have to put together 4 times to then add to your body of your blanket, you know, the large square, to make up the whole blanket. And of course then your squares will be put together diagonally. So we are going to do exactly the same as we did with our body of our blanket. First do the horizontal rows, then do the vertical rows. And it's the same way you're going to make your slip knot and do inner loop single crochets. Now we do have to pay attention a little bit up there, but I will show you that in a moment, how to go about doing that. Okay, so to get started, we're going to try and make sure that we don't lose or forget about these triangles on the side here. So I suggest doing this join here first, then joining there, and then making sure we don't forget about this triangle here. So then at least we've got these 2 rows completely joined, well, in one direction, and then we will tackle this bit here. So let me get started. So I've got my slip knot on my hook, and again it's the same thing as we have done before. But here, of course, we are going to have to take into account that we don't have a chain space at the end of this triangle here. So you're going to have to make sure that you do the same amount of stitches as we would do, but just place them somewhere there. Okay, so I'll be back to show you that in a moment. Okay, so I've got a couple of stitches left to do here, but on the other side here I've only got one stitch left over, but that's okay. I'm going to do that, use this one, then go into here and use this one here again, just so that I've done what I needed to do. Okay, so then this is the end of this join here. So what I'm trying to avoid is doing all these short joins, but of course here we do have to do it, but that's okay. We're avoiding doing lots of them. So let's now do the long join, and then when we get here we will join these two. Now here I'm starting the next join. I've done my single crochet in the chain space, but of course I haven't got a chain space there, so that's okay. I'm going to go in there and then find here the absolute corner of that triangle and just do our single crochet. And then we continue with finding the inner loops. And so all the way along this row we will be doing that, and again we will be doing a chain once we get to the join. Okay, so I've now done this line here, so I'm just going to do this one here just so that I don't lose that triangle basically, and then I will continue with these there. So for this triangle it's best if you just lay it out on a desk like this, and so you see what goes where and how it goes together, because that way make it a lot easier to do this. So I have now also attached this triangle here, so that just make sure that I am not going to lose them or place them elsewhere. So now of course we're doing these ones, and that's more straightforward because we have the sides of these triangles to attach here, and then I will show you in a moment how to attach this one. Now in the whole of the blanket there will be 4 instances where you will be attaching the triangle onto the blanket, but you will not be using, like here you will be using the V's, so that's fine, but here you will be using the edge of the triangle where there are no V's. So we're just going to have to find locations to go into to make sure that we can attach it, of course. So if you just look at your side here, I'm sure there are several strands that you can pick up. Now I've put the stitch marker there, so this is of course the middle of the triangle, then here also the middle of this side. So I'm going to use the stitches on this square here to give me some sort of measure or some sort of distance that I need to keep on this triangle to sort of put my stitches. So let's see if we can get on and do a few stitches. So I've done the stitch in my chain space here, then we pick up the back loop there, and then here we are just going to try and pick up something. This seems to be one strand, maybe try and pick up a second one just to make sure that it is all secure. And then we pick up this one here again. Yes, that one, that's a good one. There are less stitches to be picked up than you would imagine, so make sure you space them out really well along your triangle. Now of course you can put more stitch markers, but yeah, just the one is fine. You sort of work your way to the middle, and then that helps. I'm going to do it in the chain there. Look at that. So that's looking quite good. And of course we will come back here, come past here with the border, you know, once it's together in the other direction there. So let's remove the stitch marker and let's continue our stitches here on the side. So picking up the back loop and then, yeah, maybe just going around that chain of the circle. And then finding some more stitches along the side. And like I said, you will have to do this in 4 instances. So just, you know, for those 4 times, take your time and just look at it properly and see which is the best way to do this. So here I'm at the end. Have I used this one yet? No. And then here I'll do one there. Voila. And then here I'm going in the chain space and just doing another one there. And then do one in the chain space again. There we go. So there we are. Okay, so I've now done my horizontal lines. And now I'm going to start doing my vertical lines. And Layla, do you like the blanket? Do you like it? Ja. Wat denkt u ervan? Ah. Ja. Wat dan? Is er nog iets mis? Is there something still wrong with it? Yes, so now, Layla, we have to connect the corners to the sides of the square. Look at that. And then it will be a blanket. Oh, goodness me. Are we in approval, Layla? Are we approving this? Yeah? Oh, there she goes. So yes, so I have completed the 4 corners and of course the middle as well. So now all I have to do is do the 4 sides here, joining the triangles to the corner center. So I will be doing that in a moment. So I have got one of my corners and of course the body of my blanket. I am now going to crochet these together in a loop single crochets, just like we did with the individual squares. But I'm just going to get started here. I will show you how to do the joins and everything here, and then I will tell you what to do on the corner, bringing in my second corner there. So let's get started. So basically you can get started wherever you want. The best thing to do, of course, is to go somewhere that you know is going to tally up. So here I have the corner chain space, so let's do a standing single crochet in there. And then from there on you start picking up your inner loops again. And so let me get to the join and show you what to do there. So when you get to the join here of course your body and your corner, you're going to first of all do your single crochet into the chain space as we have been used to doing. Then you go to this join here, so to the join that's facing you, go under the V, bring through your working yarn, and you're going to do a single crochet. So that's connected that. And then you go to the other side there to your corner join, or the join on the corner part. You go under here. Now this is different because you can't do a single crochet here because it's just, you know, you're coming from the wrong side. So what you're going to do is bring back the yarn, so roll it round whichever way it will stay behind your hook to bring it through this V, and then just through the loop on your hook. This has now created a slip stitch, but that's fine. We have now created our join on both the joins. So now you hold your squares together again, find that corner chain space, and you do a single crochet as we are used to. Then we are going to go into the inner loops again, and let me just do 2 or 3 stitches here so I can show you what it looks like. No, that's picking up both the V's. Oh my goodness, there we go. Right, so now I've got a couple of stitches there. I can show you nicely. Look, this is what the join looks like, and to be honest, it doesn't look much different from a join that we did with bridging 2 chains in the rest of our blanket. So I think this is a good solution. It does create a nice and sturdy join, and now we can just keep on going, and I will meet you at the end of the row here to do the corner. So here I'm doing my last stitch. I am going to do this one here and then go in this very last tip of that corner there again, just to take it along as far as possible to the edge. Then into the chain space I'm going to do 2 single crochets just to make the corner, and then here with this stitch we are going to bring in the next corner. So make sure you have laid them out correctly as you have decided, so that none of the same colors come together. So here we have the back loop, and then here, I know it's black, sorry, you just try and find that inner strand of that very first stitch to use to make sure it all joins up nicely. And there we go. So we have made the corner there, and we are doing our inner loops, single crochets again. So there we go. So look at that. This is going well. I am now going to continue with the techniques I have just explained for joining these joins and doing this corner all around the 4 sides of the inner blanket that we have made, and then we will have our whole body of our blanket ready. Now you will notice that the corners are quite pointy, and we need to bring in that peacock shape a little bit. So I didn't mind at all that the corners were sticking out a bit, because we are going to use them for an extra effect to make this blanket a little bit more peacocky. Is that a word? Anyway, I hope the joining of your blanket body will go very well for you, and I will see you in the next video where I will show you how to do the border and those special effects. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!